It is Sunday, June 19th, 2022, and on this week's edition of Sunday Sofatime, we're talking about cruising together with you. We are having a heat wave here in Hamburg.
And I am loving it.
By the way, a heat wave means it's in the high 70s. That's extreme, I know. I'm glad you found your way over here to Sunday Sofatime. If you're new here, I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. I travel all around the world to popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. Nobody pays me to say anything is great or whatever. I just go there and I tell it like it is. A lot of the videos here on my channel are related to cruising and cruise ships, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And I know that there are some of you out there right now who, when they saw that I'm making a video about a group cruise, are thinking,
oh my gosh, I can't believe he's talking about this again.
And I forgive you, because I also am thinking, a group cruise is a subject that has come up here on the channel many times over the years. It's something that I have been interested in for a very long time. It's something that I was very close to before Corona Roni came. And just a little spoiler alert before I get any further into this video, I am not announcing a group cruise yet. That is not what this video is about. I'm sorry if some of you thought that that was what this is going to be about, but we're not there yet. What I want to do in this video with you together in the comments when you watch this is brainstorm again about if now is a good time to even plan a group cruise. And I think the answer could very well be, no. But at the same time, I've been looking for reasons to do this and not do this for at least 5 years. And I feel like doing a group cruise, it's kind of becoming like planning a family. I feel like you're never gonna feel like you have everything in order and now is the good time. You kind of just have to go for it and then plan, maybe. So the first question I have for all of you, and like start a comment and keep it open because there's going to be a lot of questions, or maybe open, like Notepad or some Word document next to the window here and then write it all and then copy paste it into a comment at the end. The first question I have is now even a good time to be planning a group cruise? When I just sort of brainstorm out loud my thoughts on that, of course, the main reason why I would think it is not a good time is just because traveling at the moment is still very risky, in the sense that if you test positive, you're not going to be able to get on the ship. At the moment, most cruise lines, at least that I know of, are still requiring testing or requiring people to be fully vaccinated. Who knows? That could all change, because if I do this, it's not going to be at least until the fall or maybe late or early winter of 2023 or the fall, And by then, let's just hope that it's all gone. But when I see other cruise tubers planning group cruises at the moment and running into snafus because of travel delays and stuff like that, I just feel like, okay, could be kind of risky to plan it now. I just realized again that I forgot to do the lint roller on this black shirt. And I can't tell you how annoyed I get when I sit down to edit and I see cat hair and fuzzies all over me. Hold on. I'm back. Fuzzy free. Okay, I think I was talking about, or I want to talk about now, the reasons why I think this could be a good time. And probably the main reason is just because I know that there are so many people who are interested in traveling at the moment. And yeah, I feel like this would be a good time to give people even more motivation to travel. Having something like this where it's not only about getting together and cruising with me. It's also about this kind of community of people that has collected around the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. And also, I know from reading your comments and from chatting with you that there are many of you out there who are solo cruisers, and to have sort of something in common with some people when you go on a cruise as a solo cruiser is a great thing too. And I would love to be able to sort of coordinate that opportunity. So let's say I do plan a group cruise this year or early next year. The next thing is thinking again about what cruise line it should be and probably the destination. For me, the easiest would be to do a Mediterranean cruise, but I know, well, or a Northern Europe cruise because I can just take the train to the port then. But I know that, first of all, that would probably be something to plan for next summer because Northern Europe and the Med, there's, you know, a short season for those cruises, and now it's already probably too late to like officially plan some big cruise. So anyways, that's one thing in my head, and probably the most practical for all of you out there, or for the large majority of you out there, would be some cruise from Florida. I think that's what, you know, many people are very familiar with the Florida ports. They've planned trips there several times, and a lot of you out there are in the United States or North America, so that would make it a lot easier for a lot of you and just a little bit more complicated for me, but hey, I can deal with it. And then another thing to talk about again would be what ship and what cruise line. This discussion can go a couple ways, and with all these things, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you just want to comment on one of these things and not go through the whole list, that's fine too. I feel like the most people would be interested in cruising with one of the major lines, or one of the majorly popular lines, and I'm talking about Royal Caribbean, Carnival, or NCL. I think Disney is probably out of the interest and the price range for a lot of people. And when it comes to price range, I'm including myself in that. But, you know, if we get enough people together, of course, I will probably be taking that free cabin for myself. I hope that's okay with all of you. I've never done Holland America. That could be an interesting thing also for other people who might want to try it and are afraid of sort of the age group that's typically on board. There might be a lot of people out there who are interested in going on a Virgin Voyages, but don't know who the right people are to try it with. And I think if a bunch of us all got together and went on a Virgin Voyage, we could have a good time. But that also might be out of the interest and price range of a lot of you. That's why I think probably safe to stick with Royal Caribbean, NCL, or Carnival. Carnival would probably be the least expensive option, and I know that there's also quite a few of you who have never cruised with Carnival, and that would make that interesting as well. NCL, of course, has a lot of ships with solo cabins. That would be also a great thing. Oh, I didn't even mention MSC. MSC would also be kind of like Carnival, I think, a cruise line that maybe a lot of you had been interested in but haven't tried yet, and that might also be a viable option. Here's one thing, a question I have that I want to ask before I continue, and this is sort of like just all of a sudden in the mix of topics, is if you are a solo traveler, would you be interested in some kind of like roommate setup service? So you didn't, we can't get solo cabins, or if we go on a ship with no solo cabins, so you didn't have to pay the solo supplement. I did a couple group roller coaster trips with a roller coaster club, and they set up a roommate service where there was a long survey that you had to fill out about, you know, if you snore, if you need noise when you sleep, if you are a light sleeper, if you're a heavy sleeper, if you need a lot of time in the bathroom, all that kind of stuff, like a really detailed sort of personality quiz. And we sent that in to the organizers, and they used those things to help us pick out roommates, so none of us who didn't want to would have to pay for a solo hotel room. Would that be something interesting to you, or would you be like, no, I absolutely do not want to spend time with a stranger in a cruise cabin. I will be paying for the solo supplement if that need be. I'm trying to think of other things that I'd like to discuss with all of you. One thing that I would really like to provide, and I know I've talked about this before, is I want to do special things that are only for you. And with my showbiz background, I would love to create some kind of little, I don't want to call it a show, but maybe like a lecture, maybe like doing a live Sofatime actually record a Sofatime and with you as the audience, but actually there. You know what I mean? There are a lot of possibilities. I want to keep some of my ideas a surprise, but I would love to, while we're cruising, have excursions that are just for us and some things on board that are also just for us. One thing that I used to be really worried about was not having any time for myself while cruising, but now over the past 2 years, I've done a lot of cruises alone and had a lot of time for myself. And I guess I'm not really worried about that anymore. Of course, there's gonna have to be boundaries set. There's gonna have to be like hours where Morgan gets to be alone. I think there's a possibility to have a lot of fun together, but also anybody who has the expectations that they're gonna go on a group cruise and that they are gonna be spending 24 hours a day with me, that's not a realistic or a healthy expectation. I don't even spend 24 hours a day with Marcus when we cruise together. So you're gonna have to be doing some things on your own too. There's one more question that I would like your input on, and it's kind of controversial and I don't really know how to sugarcoat it, but I'm wondering, and especially if any of you have done any other group cruises or like group trips, I'm wondering if it's awful or possible or even something I should think about that there is, I don't know what else to call it other than an application process. Some way to find out who's interested, and then, you know, in a way like a velvet rope, just to make sure that the people who come on the cruise are sort of like-minded in a way, and that I know everybody's gonna get along and have a good time. I am still a little bit worried about getting together with a group of strangers who the only thing that we all have in common is a love for cruising and travel, and that you know a lot about me from my videos. I feel like that sounds arrogant to me, that I'm like, let's get together because you all know me. I don't mean it that way, but I know it sounds that way when I say it. But having those things in common doesn't mean that everybody's gonna get along, and there's a lot of other issues that could become an issue, and I guess that is something I'm worried about, that putting together a group cruise is gonna take a lot of effort and planning, and then I would hate it to be ruined by a couple of assholes. You know what I mean? And I just would like to have some sort of system in place to make sure that that doesn't happen, if there even is a way, and to make sure that people know, listen, not everybody can sign up for this. There has been a little bit of a selection process to make sure that we all have a good time. Good idea, bad idea. Did I make a mistake by even mentioning that I'm thinking of that? Please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, like I said, it's warm here. We have the windows open and I know you can hear the church bells ringing. I would assume that the destination is not really that important to most of you. So many of you now are frequent cruisers, and there aren't a lot of destinations that ships leave from Florida to go to that you haven't been to yet. So I don't know if that's necessarily something that I need to consider, although there's a couple things that I imagine would be a lot of fun to do in a group, like that crazy zip line on Labadee. If you have any other ideas for like this would be optimal for a group cruise, let me know. You know, I can think of so many of the typical itineraries like Royal Caribbean always include a stop in Nassau and hopefully at Coco Cay or Coco Key. I might be able to get us like a group rate for Atlantis. That could be a fun thing to do. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts or requests, wishes in the comments. I really hope that this happens sometime within the next year. Like I said, there just always seems to be a good reason not to do it, and I'm always finding little things that sort of trip me up on the way to finally deciding, yes, I'm doing it now and I'm gonna do it like this. But maybe now is the time, and I'm looking forward to all of your comments. And speaking of comments, now comes the time on Sunday Sofatime where I comment on your comments live on air. Last week's Sunday Sofatime was recorded partially in London just after I had gotten together with Emma from Emma Cruises. By the way, if you're not caught up with Emma, she is on a Celia SIL, is that what it's called? SILJA ferry going to Sweden, and it's basically like, the inside looks like a Royal Caribbean ship, but it's a ferry. So go check that out. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of her journey as well. We wrote to each other really quick, and I think she's having a great time. Hi, Emma. So these comments are on that video. It was a little bit of a different Sunday sofa time, but I picked out some things to talk about and reply to anyways. The first one is from Kai, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. They wrote, "We were in England last week. Heathrow Airport was just awful, but Back to the Future was fantastic. The time that it took to watch the musical would probably be less than a time it would take to check in and get through security at Heathrow Airport." And I mentioned it in that video. I mentioned it also on my page that I try to avoid Heathrow Airport at all costs if I can, because I have never experienced it not being annoyingly chaotic there. However, another good friend of mine, Carl from Midlife Bucket List, he just flew through Heathrow this morning and wrote to me saying they got through in 10 minutes. So many other people wrote that they have horrible experiences at Heathrow, and there's a handful of people who also wrote that they've never had a problem at Heathrow. So I guess there is a possibility to fly through Heathrow and not be annoyed. And Back to the Future, the musical, was so much fun. It brought up so much nostalgia, and of course the main role is Marty McFly, this sort of, it needs to be played by an adult who looks younger, and I was thinking, oh geez, 20 years ago, this would have been my role. Well, maybe when my hair is all bushy again and I get a little bit of a snatch, maybe? Next comment is from Beth Connington. Beth writes, "So funny. May 14th, we were in London after a transatlantic cruise. We saw Back to the Future and ate at Gordon Ramsay's Burgers right after." And we did exactly the opposite. We went to Gordon Ramsay's Burgers, then to Back to the Future, and then we got on a trans cruise. I mean, a cruise from England to Germany is technically transcontinental, right? Back to the Future seems to be really popular right now. If you haven't watched the other videos or been following on Facebook and Instagram, we also saw a play based on the story of Life of Pi, and it was so good. It was so good. Like 5 minutes into it, I already was crying, and by the intermission, my face had hurt so bad from trying not to whimper, not because what happens in the first act is so sad, just because I knew what was coming, like everything that happens, and I was suffering so much. It was so good. I would love to see it again. But the fact that you guys have gone to see Back to the Future and also went to Gordon Ramsay's Burgers shows that we all have a lot in common, and also a great reason to do a group cruise together, right? Final comment is from my auntie Vera Charles. My auntie writes, "Love this. Oh, and by the way, Street Burger was my stripper name in the late 70s. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Street Burger." Not sure that was very popular, was it? And I'm kind of thinking that you're pulling my leg. Well, as long as it's just my leg. Thanks for making me laugh, Auntie Vera Charles. I always love your sarcastic, funny comments. A lot better than some other comments I get. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up here. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to your input about this group cruise. I'm sorry for everybody who has looked forward to a group cruise in the past and then it's not happened. It's a process. Let's hope that this time is the time. I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. See you soon.